in the image of God. What does it mean? In Genesis chapter 1, the very beginning, when God creates man, he says he created us in his likeness and in his image. Male and female, he created us. And he created us to have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the birds in the air, over the creatures that creepeth upon the earth. And he told us to be fruitful and to multiply. So, in creating us in his image and telling us these things about us, he's telling us these things about himself. He's saying, first and foremost, he created us. So what does that make us? That makes us creators. Second, he says he creates us to have dominion. And I see that there's a distinction here between having dominion and taking dominion. There's nothing to do, there's no hustle and there's no grind in the commandment to have dominion. And dominion over what? Over the land, L, air, A, and water, W, law. He's laying down his law. And to me, this is just so extraordinary as a consultant and an enthusiast about divine law, right? Law carries with it this tone of like density and rules that we need to follow. And in the very beginning, all that the law was utter freedom. It's like have dominion over everything that you see in front of you. And being created in the image of God speaks to literally being ambassadors of his creation. So I see this new pathway, this new way to look at the original divine design of humanity. Well, what happened? Then humanity decided that we wanted to know what it was like to have knowledge of our own accord, right? And that's what happens in the coming verses in this book of life, this Bible, these basic instructions before leaving earth, where in the very beginning, it's take dominion, not take dominion, but have it. Okay, well, when we fell from that, that's where our mindset shifted. And instead of, I already have the dominion, we've shifted into, there's something that I need to take. We need to reclaim it. There's something to do. There's this hustle and grind mentality that comes in just a few verses later. But going back to the start, we just remember. My only responsibility is to remember who I am. And I get to notice when I'm being pulled off path. I get to notice when I think that there's something I need to do. I somehow need to fix or change. God didn't say, go fix and change the earth. He said, have the dominion that I've given you already. Multiply what I've handed to you. He doesn't say, chase others around. He doesn't say, go fix broken problems. He doesn't say go fix people. He doesn't say go fix yourself. He says just have the dominion over the creation that I've already set before you. And then we're also looking at these verses in Colossians 1, 15 through 20, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. So now we're speaking about Yeshua. That was verses 15 and 16 in Colossians 1. And verse 17. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body of the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that all things he might have, that in all things he might have preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether they be things of earth or things in heaven. So Now we're looking at this complete picture. We looked at Genesis, we looked at the beginning, we looked at the law that was laid down, and then there was a fall. And after that fall, we now turn around and say, okay, we were created perfect. When we fell, we were sent another gift. We were sent Christ. And Christ is the perfect image. And Christ says, don't look at the things of this earth anymore. Christ says, not only do you have dominion over everything that's seen, but in the unseen realms as well. And it says, he made peace through the blood of his cross. So the blood of his cross is the peace. If I'm not in peace, it's time to turn my focus back to the blood of the cross. That cross right behind me is a reminder day in and day out that I'm here and I'm called to forgive and to take the next step forward, not to look back, not to mistake my identity for a lie, not to think that there's something I need to fix, not to think that there's anywhere I should be but where I am, but to trust in the Lord and to trust that he created me in his image. And I don't need to understand what that means. Jesus understood. And he knew, and he said he didn't have the full picture. So how could I expect to? I don't have the full picture. I just have the perspective that I have. And in that perspective, I walk step by step in the likeness and the image of God.